we've been talking basketball, and by we I mean the great Andre Snellings and myself. We did a West preview and an East preview. It's not up yet. It's going to be in editing, and it will go up over this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Make sure to check them out. They are 25 minutes chock full of just the most fun, amazing breakdowns. Thankful to Andre for coming on to join me and help out with breaking these things down. We're now going to talk about something a little more timely. Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins both signed their rookie max extension contracts. Both have Adidas sponsorships, and Bill Self might be out of a job soon. But that's entirely besides the point, as the FBI is swirling around Bill Self, not Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins. 5 years, $148 million extension for Joel Embiid. 5 years, roughly, as Andre was telling me before, $146.7 million for Andrew Wiggins. Embiid, incentive base. Wiggins, also incentive base. If you make all NBA first, second, third teams or win MVP, for Wiggins, even a scoring title, you can make upwards of 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 million more. But as for the base contract, Embiid's also has an escape clause. If he doesn't log roughly, I think it is 1,600 minutes per season, after year 3, they can waive him. They can have an escape if that back or the knee or the foot, and those problems persist. I guess in this game of which contract would you take, Andre, if you were a GM and you need to sign one of these two players, you gotta pick one, but I know how fair you are, and you're gonna probably make an argument for both. I know why you're gonna make an argument for both, as anybody would, but you gotta pick one. You have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the same choice that when they were in the draft together. The question was, which one's the #1 overall pick?
Right, that's
and true. At that time, we didn't know as much about Embiid, but there were, already legends like, man, this guy is the greatest thing. He's just hurt. Versus Wiggins, who had all this upside, they thought at the time, and Wiggins was taken as more the safer pick. That was the right decision then. Now it's 3 years later, and we've seen a lot out of Wiggins. We haven't seen a lot out of out of Embiid, but what we have seen out of Embiid is so freaking ridiculously absurd that you have to take Embiid. I mean, if you're a general manager and you're told you could sign for the next 5 years a really good player, or a player with the potential to, he'll score you a lot of points. We haven't seen yet whether he can do anything else, but he'll score you a lot of points, get you a lot of highlights. He plays 80 games every year. Or you can have the next, the LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett of your generation. He's injury prone, but if he's healthy, that's what you're getting. You got to swing for the fence.
You got to swing, yeah. You got to take the gamble.
No other way around.
I think we've talked about this before. Wiggins seems like his ceiling is a scoring title, and that's a great ceiling to have. That's also a ceiling that's worth $146.7 million. Don't get us wrong. You're kind of handcuffed. Both of these guys are handcuffed. You can't just let them walk. Now, the argument for Embiid was wait until like halfway through the season, right? Wait till halfway through the season in case something pops up. And then you can have a little bit more leverage on the business side of things to say, look, we can't give you a max, like this is another persisting injury. Of course, the other problem is if you do wait to halfway at the end of the season and he doesn't get injured at all, well, then you can just anybody can swarm around him and say, we'll give you the most potential money anybody can give, which I think the Sixers technically had the most that they can give. With Wiggins, and you can't let Wiggins walk either. What's so interesting about him, though, is because his contract came up before Towns, it's gonna be, we're gonna see what Butler and Towns and Wiggins and Teague and all in this new retooled team and Georgie Dang, they do this year. And the great Jamal Crawford, I always mention his name, will do this year. But Wiggins' money and eventually the Towns' money is gonna tie down the books a little bit. It's gonna be tough or tougher to keep whatever team they have right now and how successful they are. It's gonna be very difficult to keep that intact 2 years down the line if it works out the way they want to. Again, the issue at hand, how do you not pay these guys? They're not just people you let go. They're not people that you look to trade. They're not players that you just willingly give up or don't pay. Embiid, I like the Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan comparison more just because they're bigs. Although Duncan and Garnett specifically too, just because they were so strong on both sides of the ball. And it's interesting because if you were to say 2 years ago, right, would you rather have, and this is just before that giant pivot because like Anthony Davis was emerging 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. If you said to me, would you rather have the guy that's gonna score at will, or would you rather have the guy that's gonna be a force in the, a traditional force as the 5 or the 4-5? I probably would have said, give me the scorer. The league's becoming a scoring league. But then you just see how many tools that Joel Embiid has, and yeah, you're gambling, but it's a gamble you got to take because Embiid himself can be the focal point in leading you to a championship if he stays healthy. Wiggins by himself probably can't get you to a further playoff run without somebody else paired with him that is at his level, if not better.
Oh yeah. I mean, Wiggins and Embiid have both been regular topics in the Hoops Lab, hoopslab.rotowire.com. You know, where I and also really just anywhere that I write. So I've got an article that's supposed to come out on Monday on Nylon Calculus, where I'll be looking more into Joel Embiid and his ridiculousness. And I had a couple of those type of articles about Wiggins last year, but in the opposite direction. Like he's an excellent scorer, but he hasn't shown that he can do anything else to really make a big impact on games. Now for Minnesota, as you pointed out, they've got Towns, they've got Wiggins, they've got Butler, they've got Georgie Dang. You know, they have talent. They've got Jeff Teague. We have to see if it meshes, but Minnesota's never been shy about spending money, even as a relatively small market team. The problem when Kevin Garnett was there wasn't that they weren't willing to spend. It was they didn't have anybody to spend it on.
Right.
You know, they had that stupid under the table deal with Joe Smith. So they lost all their draft picks. They couldn't bring in young talent. The free agents didn't necessarily want to come to Minnesota. I think some were willing to because Garnett was there. But at that time, the way the salary cap was set up, it was only like mid-level exceptions. So they just couldn't bring anybody in the door. But once they had people in the door, they would overpay to keep them. Right. So I don't think the salary cap and Wiggins being a max guy will necessarily hurt them if what they have is good enough to compete. You know, I think they'll pay Towns the max. They've got Butler for however long.
I mean, they gotta pay Towns the max. Like, there's there's not really any way around that. But that's why I was like, if you're the Timberwolves, you probably wish it was just a little bit the other way around. You probably wish you can give Towns the max first, just because you got that's the player you have to lock down forever. That's your franchise. Whereas in a scoring league, no disrespect to Andrew Wiggins. It's just a matter of it's much easier to find an Andrew Wiggins right now and that kind of scoring than it is to find a Karl Anthony Towns. Although there seems to be more of them popping up. There's one in New York, there's two in New Orleans, there's one in Philadelphia, there's one in Denver. They're everywhere. We've been infested by big cats.
Infested with big cats. I like that.
Big cats.
But yeah, I mean, just really quick though, as far as Embiid in offense, especially in today's NBA, where he's proving, and I guess all of those big men that you're talking about are proving to be an exception to the rule. A couple years ago, there was this thought that, well, the true center is dead in the NBA.
Right.
Well, he's not. It's just that now he looks more like Kevin Garnett than Shaquille O'Neal. You know, so I'm sorry, I was say Karl Anthony Towns. We're talking about him, but Joel Embiid, he's able to score from the 3-point line. He can face up. He can dribble. He can shoot the fadeaway like Dirk. He can get to. I mean, last night is a preseason game, but 18 free throws in 14 minutes. I mean, he can go to the line and draw the fouls. I mean,
they can't guard him.
No,
they can't guard him. He pulled a Dirk. Like, here's like the thing. This is last year. Like, you can see the culture shift, and I do think this is a super underrated part of Joel Embiid. This is why I like Joel Embiid. Before his game even showed that, he's always been a jokester in a way, but obviously he's proving it on the court that I'm not just a clown. Like, I'm gonna clown you on the court too. And you just saw the culture shift. Like Philadelphia. And Bill Simmons wrote about this in the book of basketball. Philadelphia is a mecca of basketball. Dr. J, again, one of your all-time favorites, if not the all-time favorite of Andre Snellings, if I'm correct, who is still somehow, look, when it comes to Dr. J, the guy just screams swag, I guess is the word I'm gonna use. Like, everything about him, the style in which he played was awesome. and his impact on Philadelphia. Now, Joel Embiid's not bringing the same kind of game, but he did bring with him that leadership, that almost uber confidence that people in Philadelphia can rally behind. It's not that long ago that Allen Iverson and the 76ers were going to try to be the biggest underdogs and upset the one-man versus Lakers team, and they got that game won. And before that, obviously during the Dr. J years, like they deserve to be there. The Philadelphia 76ers should have never have been this broken franchise that just didn't get talked about, because like the Knicks are broken and the Lakers were broken, yet they still got all the national ratings. They still were put on regardless how bad the team was. Didn't matter. Philadelphia deserves that space as a major market in the NBA, and that's why Joel Embiid just bringing that culture shift it's good to see. It's good for the league overall.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. And, as you point out, it's personality and skill.
Yeah.
So, in Philadelphia, personality-wise, you mentioned in Iverson and Dr. J, two others, but, you can go all the way back to Wilt. He was kind of one of the first,
Moses
come
Malone,
see
too.
this guy. Yeah, fo.
That guy averaged, like if you look at his numbers, you think it's broken. It's like he didn't average 27 rebounds. I think he did. Oh my God, his game logs are like those are twos. Those are twos before the single digit.
Yeah, and 12 of them were offensive. So
I know.
It's just stuff that you don't see today. So yeah, you're right. Embiid does bring that kind of personality, but then his game is so absurd. In that article that coming out on Monday, I point out, I looked at him versus, say, the 15 best rookie center seasons we've seen since I think the first one I did was Ralph Sampson. So since like 1984, last 25
Who are some of the names on that list? Is it the common names or names that we're sleeping on? Is it the Shaqs and Dwight Howards and?
Yeah. I mean, because I didn't do it scientifically. I just kind of picked the ones that. So it was
that's really interesting.
Sampson and Akeem and Duncan and Shaq and David Robinson and
all
the way up through, they're all right, through Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis.
Nice.
And so, I put together a couple charts, and it's kind of like those Giannis charts I put together last year, where you got all of these great player names, and then you got Embiid, like up somewhere by himself. And you're like, how could he, and it's scoring, or at least one of the charts is scoring. So it's not, you're talking about Wiggins being a great scorer. He is, but if Embiid ever stays on the court at the pace he's scoring, he's going to be one of the league leaders in points per game from the center slot. That's not something that we really thought we were going to see a few years ago. But not only will he be one of the leading scorers, he's going to be having a hugely positive effect on his offense.
Oh yeah.
Which also doesn't always happen for big men that can score. So, I hope that man stays healthy.
I think we all do. And here's the thing: even if he doesn't stay healthy, the clause I would put is, okay, we'll just pay you. You're now a coach. You now coach the team. You're just not allowed to leave. Or you play 5 minutes a game and then you coach. But it'll be the greatest 5 minutes in NBA history. 5 minutes, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block, right across. You'd be like, oh my God, this guy's unreal. All right, make sure to comment below. If you had your choice of Joel Embiid or Andrew Wiggins, you want to take the healthier-ish safe pick. Would you take Joel Embiid? Would you do the same 2-3 years ago? Always fun to look back on. You don't have to look that far back on when these guys were drafted. Both KU boys, both Adidas sponsored guys. Both their shoes are there. But at Professor DRZ over on the Twitter, make sure to check out the Hoops Lab. He's teased it a few times, so he better have that article done by Monday, because he said it now 4 or 5 times.
I turned it in today.
Oh, okay, he's turned it in. Okay, good.
They told me he was going to run on Monday.
Oh, good. I was just thinking, like, man, if he didn't write this article yet, he's just setting himself up for a very tough Sunday. Make sure to come back. We have a bunch of NBA content on the channel. Andre will be back, if not weekly, every other week to discuss a look inside the National Basketball Association. We are pretty pumped that it's back, and we'll see you soon.